Good morning, everyone. Today we are embarking on a journey into the fascinating world of human connection, exploring a philosophical concept called intersubjectivity. Intersubjectivity at its core is about how we understand each other, how we relate, and how we build meaningful relationships. Think about the most meaningful relationship in your life. What makes them special? This presentation will shed light on the foundation of these connections. Martin Buber is a philosopher who is well known in dealing with human relations despite being a philosopher in religion. He is also considered to be one of the greatest minds of the 20th century in the field of education. According to Buber, humans beings possess a twofold attitudes toward their worlds, which is indicated by the foundation concept it is and it too. The it too relation stresses the mutual and holistic existence of two entities. It is an encounter of equals who is recognize each other as such as it is dialogue. Buber argues that the it too relation lacks structures and content because infinity and universality are at the basis of the relation. Any sort of preconception, expectation, or systematization prevents an it too relation from arising. This happens when two free rational humans being encounter one another and recognize each other as equal. Then an infinite number of meaningful and dynamic situations may take place. Despite the fact that this is difficult to establish, this kind of relationship, we will argue that this is real and perceivable.
Significant figure in understanding human relationship in the 20th century. Philosopher Martin Buber, well known for his work in religious philosophy, Buber's insight into human interaction are profoundly relevant to all of us. He introduced two fundamental concepts, the it relationship and the Bible relationship.
Buber argued that the ideal relationship is characterized by mutual respect, empathy, and a genuine desire to understand the other person. This is evident in relationships like those between close friends, lovers, or even a teacher and student. When the connection is deep and meaningful, these relationships are not transactional. They are built on mutual respect and shared understanding.
This means that human nature not only enables us to recognize the self that defines our individuality, it also enables us to recognize the other human being also possess a self. We are able to relate meaningfully with other human beings because we consider ourselves as essentially the same. This notion of recognizing the self in the other is how philosophers define interpersonal relationships.
The IT relationship describes the interaction where we treat others as objects, as means to an end. Think about ordering coffee. You interact with the barista to get your drinks, but the interaction isn't deeply personal. In contrast, the I-thou relationship is where we recognize the other person's unique individuality. It's a dialogue, a shared experience, like a conversation with a close friend.
The interaction between the self and the other is related to the philosophical concept of intersubjectivity, which is the mutual recognition of each other as a person. It cannot be denied that we interact with other beings in the world, but some of these beings that we interact with are persons and must be recognized as such. Intersubjectivity also carries the meaning of a unique relationship between distinct subjects. It refers to the characteristic of the human person to engage in a very intimate and personal relationship with others who are different from him or her but who are also like him or her. This is impossible because the person has an inner life of interiority. Having an inner life allows the person to give himself or herself to others.
Think about your conversations. Casual conversation with acquaintances might focus on the surface level topics, while conversation with close friends and family often delve into deeper, more personal issues. This difference highlights the distinction between superficial interaction and genuine dialogue.
This allows the individual to receive others in his or her life and relate with them. Intersubjectivity also allows a person to become closer to others in many different ways. In everyday social interactions, people have the ability to agree and cooperate with each other. There is also the experience of shared or common knowledge and shared emotions such as grief, joy, and love. A closer look at everyday interaction reveals instances where the self interacts with the other. Philosophers identify various levels of self-others interactions. These are, first, the simple awareness of the existence of the other. When we see other people walking down the street, we are aware that there are other beings unique from us, and that they exist outside of our own awareness or perception. Second, the awareness of the self as being seen by others. Imagine for an instant that one of the people you are watching suddenly stops and looks straight at you. You are immediately aware of this person's action as an other. This stranger is looking at your direction. Also, you are aware of another significant fact. You know that the stranger staring at you is aware of you as a person. This self-consciousness is considered by philosopher as a defining characteristic of the self-other relationship. Now, imagine that the person is not a stranger but someone familiar, a family member, a friend, or even your crush. This awareness of the person staring at you will initially result in a feeling of self-consciousness, even shame. In fact, several questions will begin to run in your head, such as, what is he or she thinking when he or she looks at me? Am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong with the way I look? Is he or she about to say something to me?
Our interactions with others exist on a spectrum. First, there's a simple awareness that recognizing other people exists. Then there's the awareness of being seen by others. That moment when you realize that someone is looking at you and you become self-conscious. Finally, there's a deeper level of self-consciousness where we consider how others perceive us and change our behavior.
The unique phenomenon of the human gaze is considered a defining characteristic which sets apart human interaction from the interaction of other species. Also, the awareness of the self in other is an important element in all other aspects of interpersonal interaction. The way we act with other people is often influenced by our ideals of how these people see us. Therefore, if we have the idea that our parents think of us as a quiet and obedient, we often act the way with them. However, we are with our friends and we think that they see us as an outgoing. We also adjust our behavior to conform with how they think they expect us to us. This is also true when considering social context. How we behave in church is different from our behavior in lively party. These actions are referred to as seeming, where an individual presents himself nor herself in a certain way when dealing with others. Person take on roles or act out characters when dealing with certain people or when in certain situations. This is considered as an unconscious or natural act or the part of humans. However, they may be an instances people behave in a certain way in order to intentionally deceive or manipulate other people. Surely you have heard of the term plastic and sip-sip, which refers to the manipulative behaviors that are done by some people in pursuit of selfish interests.
This leads us to the concept of seeming, where we would prevent ourselves differently. Depending on the context, sometimes this is unconscious, but other times it can be manipulative.
Most human interactions, however, are not based on deception. Since our human nature drives us to uphold dignity and goodness, our interaction with others are also geared toward what is good and beneficial. This leads humans to strive and achieve deeper and gain more sustainable interaction and relationship with other people.
Genuine human interaction is not just a dialogue, it is a conversation. Dialogue is not just a conversation, it is a mutual exchange. For a thing that sharing inner lives. It requires openness, vulnerability, and willingness to truly listen and understand. It's different from casual conversation. It's a deeper connection where we share our thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
The key to a genuine relationship is recognizing the other as a unique individual with their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. It's about empathy, understanding, and accepting our differences. When we approach interactions with this mindset, we create space for authentic connections. In conclusion, intersubjectivity is the foundation of meaningful human connection. By understanding the concept of E2 relationship, the different level of self-others interaction, and the importance of dialogue, we can cultivate more authentic and fulfilling relationships. Let's strive to move beyond transactional interactions and embrace the richness of genuine human connection.